Welcome to the Weird Interview Show. I'm a weird alien. Today I'm interviewing comedian Shen Mansell. How long ago did you start doing comedy and why did you start?
How long ago did I start doing comedy? I think about 15 years ago. Although technically I started probably 20 years ago. My very first comedy that I ever did was so traumatic. I didn't do it again for another 5 or 6 years. But then after that, I was straight into it and kept going. And there was another part to that question, but I've forgotten it. Why did I get into it? Uh, I used to write video games. And that's a very solitary thing that you do on your computer alone in your bedroom. And then I got into painting, and that was a very solitary thing that you do alone in your bedroom. I decided sometime in my 30s that I needed to get out of my bedroom and stop being alone. And that's why I started doing stand up comedy.
What do you like about performing?
What do I like about performing? Well, it gets me out of my bedroom. Uh, I like the social aspect of comedy. You know, you get to hang out with other interesting people. You are usually pretty funny off stage as well as on stage. Uh, it's really good when you get someone really laughing hard to the point where they're crying or like can't make eye contact. On Wednesday, there was one person sitting right in the front row, and he was laughing so hard he was doubled over, and then I got right up in his face for some of the jokes, uh, and that's a really good feeling when you can tell that you're making someone enjoy themselves. You can tell that they're having a good time.
Which do you like better, writing or performing?
Hmm. They're both good. I think if you weren't writing anything, it wouldn't be very fun to perform. Although that said, I have done improv, which is all performing and no writing. Although you do have to practice a lot for the spontaneous stuff to be a little bit more natural and good. Uh, I will say that I try and get up to perform at least once a week. So every week I like to have at least one performance opportunity, and I don't always sit down to write properly once a week. Um, it's definitely a lot harder to find people to write with than it is to find people to perform with.
Do you get writer's block and how do you deal with it?
Hmm. Yeah, I think because I'm just doing comedy for fun rather than trying to make a profession out of it, maybe the impetus or the need to write new material all the time isn't as strong as it is for me, as it is for some other people. Like, I'm not trying to do a new hour every year, and so I don't have to be constantly working on new bits. So one valid way that I can deal with writer's block is just to not write for a while. That said, what I've been trying to do lately when I sit down to write is I'll spend like 10 minutes just doing a brain dump of everything that I've been thinking of in bullet point form. So I'll be like, oh, traffic lights are really pissing me off lately. Like there's a new traffic light on the road where I live that's got a U-turn only light signal, and it's terrible. And then I'll be like, oh, I don't like egg sandwiches. I don't like, you know, the moon looked too big last week. Just like really quickly write down everything that I've been thinking about for 10 minutes. And then for 20 minutes, I'll just free write, having primed my brain with all of those thoughts. And then usually out of that 20 minutes, there'll be like, hopefully something funny has come up. And afterwards, I can maybe drill into those things a bit more. So
What are
that's my
your
writing.
best writing tips?
My best writing tips, I would say sitting down to do it. A lot of people, once you get doing something, it's a lot easier to keep doing it. So if you say I'm going to sit down and write one joke or I'm going to sit down and write for 3 minutes, and if nothing happens, then I'm allowed to stop. Uh, Worst case, you'll have actually written for 3 minutes, and maybe you'll get something out of that, or maybe that will be the start of a thread. Lately, because I've been trying to do Instagram videos, I've been like trying to think of six 6 to 10 second long things to say that are interesting and funny. And what I'll do is whenever I have an idea, I'll open up, you know, notes and jot it down. And then when I go to do a video at lunchtime, I can scroll through and pick one and just run from there.
Is it your choice not to be more famous?
I'd like to, I'd like to think it's my choice not to be more famous. Although, if I wanted to be more famous, I wouldn't necessarily be more famous than I am now. It's certainly, for a long time I was on Twitter, and very unpopular. I would write tweets and get 0 likes, or maybe 1 like. If I was really lucky, I might get 5 likes on a tweet. Uh, and on Twitter, it doesn't show you how many people have seen the tweets. So I often felt like I was talking to myself. I didn't know if anything was getting out to other people or was being seen at all. With Instagram and YouTube now, they both show you likes, and so I can see when I post something that maybe 1,000 people have seen it. They all, 90% of them watch the first 3 seconds and then swipe away. But at least I'm having an impact in those 3 seconds.
How has Joe Rogan and Tony Hinchcliffe affected the local and international scene if they have?
Uh, I think that Joe Rogan and Tony have definitely they've encouraged a certain type of people to get up and try stand-up comedy, and they've let those people know you don't need to have new or interesting thoughts. You can use these 4 or 5 jokes, and just go to town with them. You don't even need to put your own spin on it. It's 5 years ago or 10 years ago, you could get a good laugh in certain circles by saying that you identified as an Apache attack helicopter. And I think nowadays that same joke is probably doing well in the Austin bro comedy scene. There was actually like an interesting lady, Amy Beth, someone, a female comic from Austin who did like she went to 10 open mics or some 20 open mics and wrote down every topic that was talked about at those open mics, to see what sort of variety there was and what people were thinking were the hilarious things. You can imagine what sort of the results were, and I think it might be good to do something like that in the Christchurch scene as well. Uh, Not only to see what people are thinking about, see what we can do to improve. But also as a comedian, you don't want to be rehashing the same tired old ground as everyone else. And so if you have an idea of what people are talking about, there's often fresh takes to be had by talking about something else or going in a different direction. And I will say this about Joe Rogan and Tony Hinchcliffe. I am very happy to talk about things in a different way than they are.
Who are your favorite comedians? Hopefully not them.
Uh, who are my favorite comedians? Well, as a weird alien guy, you probably are familiar with Emo Phillips. He's a fantastic person walking amongst us. Uh, Todd Barry is a really tremendous comic. I love his use of words, and his dry wit and his sarcasm really speak to me. Uh, and it's hard sometimes to listen to them and then not want to start speaking the same way that he does. He starts all of his sentences like "went to the mall the other day." So he doesn't say "I went to the mall." He just says "went to the mall," which is even just doing that I find really funny. Uh, I really like Jeremy Hotz, Norm Macdonald. Uh, he hasn't done much lately, but he was great. And so I still think about Patrice O'Neill sometimes and his absolutely diabolical way that he would use crowd work to really trick people. He would ask all these questions that were the equivalent of "Have you stopped beating your wife yet?" And he would have so he would set people up for with crowd work for pre-written material that he had, and it was absolutely devastating. He was a great talent.
Is comedy easier now due to the world being so ridiculous, or are audiences sick of Trump jokes, etc.?
The it is tricky now. I think a couple of years ago things started to go a little bit over the line of feeling comfortable to joke about because there's so many things that are happening that are absolutely terrible. And I do sometimes wonder, like in 2016 or whenever, when Trump was running for the first time, all of the late night talk show hosts and probably stand up comedians as well had an absolute field day just ripping the shit out of everything that he said and did. Uh, but he still got elected. And my personal theory is that maybe when you joke about something, it makes people think, oh, it's not so bad, you know. So everyone was joking about Trump, and people were like, oh, he's not so bad. But the reality was, in my opinion, that he was very bad. And so, I wouldn't want to be joking about things in a way that makes people minimize the seriousness of some of the events because I think there's a lot of things in the world that need to be treated seriously at the moment, unfortunately. And luckily, there's still a lot of things that can be talked about in a less serious manner.
You did 48 Hours Film Festival. What have you done in regards to that, and was it enjoyable?
Yeah, I've done the 48-hour film festival probably 6 times, 5 or 6 times. I don't think I did it last year, and I'm not doing it this year, primarily because it costs a lot of money, and also it turns out that I'm not good at working with other people, which is maybe a benefit of stand-up comedy. I always think I want, I've got a very clear vision in my mind of what I want to do for the 48-hour films. And so it's like I'm going to pay all of the joining fee, and then everyone who wants to join can sort of submit to my directorial vision. But when I've had people come and be generous enough to want to work with me, sometimes we've still bumped heads, and I think I've and ended up making some people upset with my actions. And so, if you look at all of my films, the number of people involved over the years went down and down and down and down and down until the last 2 years. I was just basically doing the film by myself, being the actor, the director, the animator, and the editor. Um, and did the films benefit from that? Well, the audience can be the judge, but I would say it's a difficult call.
You tried to start a podcast. Isn't there already a billion of them out there who even has time to listen to all these podcasts?
It's a good question. I think part of the beauty is that not no one has to listen to them all, and like there's one or two that I listen to for a bit, and there's a lot that I've never even heard of. It is it is interesting. The internet is, what's the word, disintermediating. It's making everyone be able to share their voice with the world. And a lot of the times when you read comments on Reddit, or when you see the way that people vote in elections, or when you get cut off by someone in a car because their driving is terrible, uh, you wonder if everyone's voice does need to be heard. But
This is an interview show, not a podcast. People have complained journalism has declined and podcasts have replaced it. Do you view this as good or bad?
that, I would agree. Journalism is definitely on the decline, and podcasting, as far as I'm aware, is on the rise. I think that journalists used to be able to hold politicians and maybe other powerful people to account, and that doesn't seem to be happening anymore. If you watch Luxon, like the new breed of politicians will come on to some show and just repeat their talking points no matter what questions are asked to them. They get caught in lies. Nothing seems to happen. They get, they don't deliver on their pre-election promises. Nothing seems to happen. They doing all sorts of terrible things. The press used to be a little bit of a, what's the word, a bulwark against that sort of thing, and with them gone, you know, what is going to replace that? I've seen some of the interviews that Theo Vaughn does with politicians. I don't think he's going to be holding anyone to account anytime soon.
Where can people follow you?
People, I'm on Instagram. My, I don't even. I've been on Instagram for such a short amount of time. I don't even know how to say it. I'm at dull white guy. I'm pretty sure that's my handle. On YouTube, you can follow me, all the exact same content, and my YouTube username is Shen Mansell.
I would like to thank Shen for the interview. People watching can like, comment, share, subscribe and whatever else people do to videos if you're watching in the future.